Phillip Island in Australia may well be one of the best tracks for racing for any car, but for Skip Barber, oh, it is so much fun. And today it plays host not one, but two races in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup, because we are taking you into a double header mode. So sit back and relax. This one, oh, it's gonna be fun. Welcome to Australia, as our coverage will kick off next here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Welcome to Sunday night here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live, and welcome to Phillip Island, Australia, for a double header in the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Wilvinson along with Jake Sperry here, and well, Jake, one race at Phillip Island is great. Two races in Phillip Island, oh my word, this is going to be fun.
You bet it is. Of course, Phillip Island is the only circuit, and the Skip Barber is the only car that I have managed to ever take up an iRacing official series win on. So I have a lot of history that I love about this circuit as the time start coming in. Nom, the Team Bushwick machine currently on the front. We have three former world champions, or three, yes, I will say world champions. This can be classed as a World Series.
Whoa. You putting the sarcasm card out already?
No, I'm not putting sarcasm out. I'm being very serious. Okay. You can actually class this as a world championship. We've got three former champions that are coming into this series. Ariane De Freitas, Philippe Lebert, and Miko Nasi back on return. And we also have some of the best drivers in the world deciding to come in. I've seen the likes of Victor Prato, and Fabrice Cornelis wants to give it a crack here today. Yeah, indeed so. Don't forget, I still love you, dirt people. As the timings come through, though, 1:45.785, Hero Nom then. As ever, 2 laps, go as fast as you possibly can. Bit of strategy has to come into play here, of course, for race number 1, Jake. You got to make sure you keep your car clean. Otherwise, race 2 is going to be very hard for you. It's risk versus reward, and they've extended the race time. It used to be like a 5-minute race. It's now come up to a 10-15 minute race, so we're going to see a few more laps here in this sprint before the feature later on. And if you're going to be on the wrong side of that grid, if you're going to have to try and make moves through the field, you know, sometimes it may be about, well, do I want to finish P number 8? Because that will give me a better starting position for that second race. That's what a lot of drivers have to keep in mind.
Yeah, there's a look at Hero Nom as a Team Bushwick racing car going to head himself into the final corner, out the final corner for the final time in his qualifying campaign. Not a bad second lap for him. Let's have a look at the time as he comes past the start-finish line. Was third. And he will stay fourth. He loses the position there to Bortazzo as Vinny Roche is up to third.
Vinny Mantonides up to second. They're storming on this second lap, but I am not surprised that they are here. Enter Cantor up inside the top 10. Only for the moment, the times are flying in at this stage. You keep looking back further and further and further. Someone like Tuan Tran needs to find himself opportunities. Hasn't set a lap time as of yet. He does a 46 flat. That's good enough for P18. Expecting maybe a little bit more. There is someone like Kane Halliburton as well. Should have maybe done a little bit more. Prato across the line now does a 46-1. I don't think this is his vehicle, Will.
No, I agree. As past start finish line, Miko Nasi goes faster. So, actually, no, he doesn't. He's just lying to me. It's a 1:45.602 fastest lap time so far by Miko Nasi. Here comes the driver of Phillip Labert out the final corner. Let's see what he can do as he comes towards the stripe, looking to beat a 1:45.602. Jordi Lopez Jr. up into third. And Phillip Labert crosses the start-finish line and goes up to pole.
Bang! That is the dagger in the heart from Phillip Labert. Not many drivers will get an opportunity now to go quicker. The only one, I think, who really has a shot right now, could be Greg Seitz at this stage. He's on his second lap. Diogo Francisco could also get a very good challenge in as well. I think these two from TT Racing are the only two drivers who could really pump themselves up there. Greg Seitz, by the way, only down in position 24. That's not ideal, but let's not forget he's only 0.6 of a second off the pace. Such is the strength of this field. 0.6 of a second is enough to put you on the 12th, now the 13th row of the grid. So Greg Seitz really struggling right now, and second down to 25th is split by 0.4 of a second. He moves up to a 45.8. That's good enough for row 7.
Yeah, P14 there for Greg Seitz for the time being. Diego Francisco past the line, remains in 17th. Brian Lockwood then, final corner for him, on board. 1:45.9 was his previous lap time. As Tran moves up into 11th and Lockwood up into 3rd.
Oh, a lap from Brian Lockwood. That's the Brian Lockwood I've been wanting to see for a while now, and he puts himself pat amongst the pigeons, so that much we can definitely say is a very good lap time. There's only one other driver out there on a lap right now. It's the positive sim racing machine of Edwin Villarino right now, and he's down in position 26, and we've seen drivers gain 0.4 of a second here and there. I think a good 0.4 of a second puts him in that top 10 window. Even 0.2 of a second would be so beneficial to him at this stage. Just get himself out of that mid-pack and what we like to call, Will, the bubble.
Yeah, 2 wheels onto the dirt as he worked himself into Lukey Heights. Turn number 9 now dips it down into 10. One of the hardest corners, I think, in motorsports. Off camber, turn 10. On the power, start on the outside, then wheel it in to hit the apex. Push back out wide on the exit of 11 to set yourself up nicely for 12. Edwin Villarino then through the final corner. Last driver to set a qualifying time towards the start-finish line. You can see just how long the straight is. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the time for him is going to move him to 17th.
Good lap time. It puts him in the wheelhouse, and someone who needs good results will be now looking to try and push himself to get some more positions. No other driver is out there on a lap wheel. I can officially say qualifying is over, and I'll say something now. 46 drivers here at Phillip Island, split by 1.5 seconds.
It's that kind of track. Track is 2.7 miles in length, and that's the track conditions for race number 1. Let's run you through the starting grid for tonight's race. So one more time, it's all aboard the Phillip Labert show. 1:45.422 for the Texas driver Miko Nasi, alongside him, front row of the grid. About, well, almost 0.2 of a second back after qualifying is completed. Brian Lockwood in 3rd place, Raheem Atanides in P number 4. And then row number 3 will be Jordi Lopez Jr. and Vinicius Rocha, with row 4 being Ariane De Freitas and Andrew Picario. back onto row number 5, and it will be Jason Stenny then, and Borjazazo with Johnny Gawindi and Tran on row 6. Row 7, Brian Dewell and Eero Nom. Cantor, Zeet, row 8. 9th, Valerino and Stoyles. And then row 10 will be Paul Malocas and Diego Francisco. The rest of the results coming up, and well, Jake, start of this race will be 8 laps for the first. Longer for the second, but 8 laps is not a lot of time to work yourself up. Question, of course, is going to be who's going to be fighting over the magical 20th position.
That is the question, because we've got some very good drivers in and around that top 20. You've got Stoyles, Malocas, Francisco, Matt Defoe, Bob Battalla, Kane Halliburton, Roman Kajka, who's very underrated around there, and of course Prato and Boulian. All those drivers who you normally see fighting in and up for that top 15. Today the field is so strong, they're fighting it out for 20, if not 25. So that's just how difficult this track can be. This is a draft track. If you are able to make positions, if you are very effective at using that draft, but you need a lot of help moving forward.
Indeed. Let's look from up above. As in a moment's time, we'll get those lights on to kick off race number 1. 8 laps here around Phillip Island. Last of the drivers are gridding as we speak. You can see we've got 1 or 2 holes currently in the grid, but almost everyone is there. We are almost ready to go racing at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Australia, of course. As those lights now go on, we are ready to go racing. 8 laps to kick us off here today. And here we go. Lights out, and the driver's storming down towards turn number 1 already. It's a very fast corner, turn number 1 here. It's Duan corner, and it's a case of get yourself settled down, get yourself in line, and try and hope no one slides up from the inside of you, and then you go immediately into the southern loop down at turn number 2. And well, Jake, we've got a good start as they come through the southern loop for the first time. Next challenge will be coming down into Honda corner.
Yeah, it will. No real dramas then from the drivers. They understand what is available to them and how they go, and look how close they're going. And on the grass there, I believe that would have been the driver of Fahim Antonides, the UKNI driver from St Albans, really struggling as they now head 3 wide in the middle of that first pack to try and get down the inside. That's Andrew Picario just there, having to be really careful about Borjazazo in the brand new Campos racing team, which really wants to make waves in things like Skip Barber and co. I've seen them make some very good signings, the likes of Juhan Noralampi. This is a team that should be feared. Yeah,
and it was that driver of Arjen de Freitas we saw on our cameras. 2 wheels on the grass and just a little bit more, but he survives and he holds on, and he's currently scored in the 6th place. Looking to the outside from the 91 machine there of Vinicius Rocha up into Lukey Heights, not able to do anything then, and now down they come. You can try and make a braking move here and outbrake, but it often goes very, very poorly for you. We've got 1 or 2 drivers doing that, though, down in your mid-pack. We're fine for the most part. Lap number 1 in the books. Almost uneventful there, Jake. But we've got ourselves into rhythm early.
Yeah, we got ourselves into this rhythm, and you're seeing at the front a 2-car mini breakaway right now between Leibert and Lockwood. You can see Brian Lockwood will move to the outside to try and make this move at turn number 1. Why would he choose the outside here? Because he'd have the inside for the southern loop, and you're seeing how Leibert just wants nothing of the draft as he heads towards turn number 1. Doesn't want to have that gain, and as you can see, former champion Miko Nasi is going to really try and close down that gap. He wasn't helped by Jordi Lopez Jr. and Vinicius Rocha on that opening lap. He now just needs to settle down. This train is stacking all the way back to Enzo Cantor in position 13.
Yeah, and there you can see the rear of that train is the number 91 machine of Vinicius Rocha. Looking down to the inside of Jordi Lopez Jr. But as we saw a moment ago, inside-outside becomes a big factor at this racetrack. As through Stoner corner, you have the inside line, you have the outside line into Honda corner. It will come back to you down into Siberia, turn number 6, but in this case, Vinicius Rocha has nothing that he can do. He has to remain in 6th place for the time being, as behind Borjazazo Eero Nom, scrapping it out in 11th and 12th place on track, and Stephen Stoyles, Kane Halliburton, they are going at it as they work themselves now through turn 7 and 8, and that is going to be Steven Stiles pushed off just a little bit there, but they stay side by side into Lukey Heights.
And Stiles will hold the position just as they head through Lukey Heights. The run to the MG corner comes up next, and now you can see Halliburton under pressure. Devin Singh goes down to the inside looking for opportunities. It doesn't knock though. He has to sit, he has to play the patience game. Is just in front. Oh, bit of contact there. Sights and Stiles going at it, and Stiles is going to drop one, going to drop two. He may have suspension damage. He may have to be nursing that one then all throughout the rest of this event, and he is right on the bubble wheel as again you will see Brian Lockwood try and go for this one. Again you will see Vinicius Rocha try and go for this one.
Yeah, here is Vinny as we turn our cameras over to him. They're free winding towards one, almost there. Number 91 Machine versus Fahim Atanides versus Jordi Lopez Jr. Vinicius Rocha comes out the better of that trio this time by Lopez Jr. And Fahim Atanides, they are still scrapping at it as they work themselves then on the exit on the southern loop, and now towards Stoner Corner once again. Back into line they come, and I think these drivers are deliberately playing it cautious here, Jake, because they know they wouldn't just be throwing away a top 10, they'll be throwing away a good start for race number 2 is behind Tran Aero Nom going at it.
Yeah, they are, as we also have the battle for the lead going on. So Zazo goes through on Iru Nom, Cantor goes through on Tuan Tran. They need to be careful about not getting broken. Antonides almost 3 wide into Siberia, and you may have to go all the way to outer Siberia if you're Arian De Freitas to try and make that move. It doesn't work. Now Jason Stenny wants to try and get in on the action. White cars matter. Andrew Picario just behind in this mini train for the moment. So once again, you're going to see here driver to the inside at Lukey Heights. It's so difficult to hold it around the outside. It's a one-line Suitsal corner, and you will see De Freitas have to back out of it, lose a position, and this is the reigning champion as well. So he's got a lot of work to do. He missed the opening 2 rounds of the season. I doubt he will retain his title, but this has been such competitive series, Will, that it's been pretty much almost impossible to predict a winner, especially when you've got 2 former champions inside of your top 4.
Indeed, so we'll just have a look, by the way. We have 3 drivers who are classified as down or out. Diego Francisco, Brian Dewell, and Johnny Guindi. Guindi then all the way down currently in 44th place. That is not where Guindi wants to be in this event, and that's really going to be hurting him. As ahead, Edwin Valerino in golden battle with Paul Malokas, Aero Nom. Oh, upside down and around. Aero Nom, Tran out of this event, and he's just being flipped up and over again there. Lucky that was not a safety car, Jake.
Oh, I think it should have been there, because that was scary right back into the middle of the circuit. It wasn't just the fact that he had made contact there, trying to go for a gap that didn't exist with Enzo Cantor. It was the fact that he got collected by Tuan Tran. It was the fact that he got then collected by, I believe that was Kane Halliburton. No, it's go, and then collected a 3rd time, Will, by Roman Kajka. There was nowhere for Iru Nom to go, and Iru Nom, he is so lucky that this is sim racing.
Yeah, that was one of the worst crashes I think we've seen in the history of the 2K World Cup.
Agreed. Nothing more said.
As here's a look up top then, as it is Philippe Leber, Stephen Stiles is out of this event. So it's Philippe Leber, Brian Lockwood still going at it for the race lead right now. They work themselves up Lukey Heights again. And Leber and Lockwood just seem content right now to go at it. As behind, they start to pack up again a little bit behind. Stealing Fahim Atanides then down in what will be P number 6 and 7 once timing and scoring updates itself. And what that all really did, Jake, is it actually brought the pack a little bit closer together.
It did, and you saw there actually with Antonides into MG, he was a little bit too close to the driver in front of him. They checked up, and now he's side by side with Arian De Freitas. But again, at the front here, at 5 of 8, Brian Lockwood wants to go to the front, and Miko Nasi now senses the initiative. He wants to go side by side with the yellow-wheeled machine of Philippe Leber, TT Racing. He may need help from his rear gunner in terms of what is Vinicius Rocha to try and curb Miko Nasi. You could see there, Rocha was desperate to try and get to the inside. Little wiggle, has to be really cautious about that. Behind that, though, they're starting to fragment a little bit. Lopez Jr. and Stenny, a little group. There you got Antonides, Freitas, and Picario, a little group. And I think now it's time you cut your losses if you're in the back half of this front train. Yeah,
indeed. So Barry Renz versus Bob Bartala for P number 17 as it stands. As they stay side by side, we're going to go on board of Barry Renz actually in the Positive Energy car. versus a 103 machine. They get close there into Honda corner. Car coming back onto track. That is Bob. That's not Bob Bartala. Was that Victor Prato?
It was Prato.
Yeah, he just went all forms are wrong down at Honda.
Yeah, he did, and he's lost, what, 4 positions from that? That puts him with Anthony Cat on the bubble spot, but he'll get an advantage. Matt Defoe is slow off the exit, so they'll try and pick up that position. So now this is the bubble. Richard Warmingham, Fabrice Cornelis. Now, what would that say? He's plus 17 right now. World number 4 in the I rankings. He needs points, but he's now going to have to go around the outside. If he gets top 20, yes, he's not going to be scoring sparey points here, Will, but what he will be scoring is pole position for the next race.
Yeah, so there is Fabrice Cornelis then. He oh, look at that. There's a lot of drivers ahead of him. They battled it, almost going too wide, and Cornelis now has got himself Warmingham just ahead of him in 21st position. Matt Defoe is in 20th. Cat is in 19th, and Devon Singh and Batala are scrapping it out right now, and that is up in 18th, 19th. So there's a lot going on here at this part of the racetrack. There's a lot going on out front as well. 3 wide into 1. That's the Freighter, and Fahim Atonides. Atonides just seems to be in all forms of battles as he goes off there. Does Arian De Freighter down into the southern loop, and that will cost him 2 free positions.
It will, and that's going to be costly as he now has to battle it side by side with Borja. So just to go back to that battle that we were seeing, it is pack racing at its finest. One off, Matt Defoe's going to go and say goodbye, see you later, I'm off the island, and well, it's a long, long sail to get back onto said island. So they're having their own scrap, but Will, this is the time of the race where you have to start getting aggressive with 3 to go. Lay Bear at front now, Miko Nasi in second position as Brian Lockwood gets ceremoniously bumped down to 3rd. We've said that Lockwood hasn't had the season. He now needs to fight at the front of this field, and Phillip Island is that circuit, Will, which brings drivers who you don't normally expect to be at the front up to the front.
Yeah, and there is Miko Nasi and Lockwood down in 3rd place. Jordi Lopez Jr. is still there. It's a 4-car train with a gap to then Vinicius Rocha running in no man's land, but that doesn't normally mean that there's a gap between them. That is just Vinny just waiting and biding his time. There'll be 2 to go in about 3 corners time, and there is Vinny. He'll start tightening the screw a little bit as they work themselves through 11 and 12 in a moment's time. And we have a look then from our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design through turn number 12 down towards turn number 1. Miko Nasi Lay Burr. Looks as though those 2 can swap positions. In fact, that's what's going to happen. Nasi down to the inside. You got Jordi Lopez Jr. down to the inside of Brian Lockwood as well. In towards turn number 1. They all get close together. And look at that. Oh, Jordi Lopez Jr. was trying to go down to the inside of Philippe Leibert, not able to do so. And then just has to move out the way because it's really close there with Lockwood into the southern loop. And Jordi Lopez Jr. makes contact twice there in 1 corner.
Oh, lordy, Jordi, get careful, because that could have so easily have been 3 of the top 4 of the top 5 out of this event. They hold it together. It gives a little bit of breathing room, though, to guess who? Miko Nasi, 149. He's always there. Defensive line taken by Lay Bear on the brakes into Honda corner, as now Vinny Rocha tries to go to the outside to make something happen. Not going to work. Inside then for Siberia for Lopez Jr., who's now being attacked by Brian Lockwood as they now head through the 180-degree parabolic left-hander, and they make sure that they hold it together nicely. Second pack forming up as well. The bubble, though, currently occupied by Warmingham. Anthony Cat in this battle going backwards as well. Nathan Clark needs to make some moves.
Yeah, he does, as does Sven Torres then in the number 189 machine. We go on board of him, but you see, he's just too far out of the picture right now. Needs to be about half a second closer to have any shot of getting into this, or hope that the guys ahead of him have a little bit of a ding-dong juicy battle. Here's Miko Nasi then. White flag is going to be out this time by. There will be 1 more lap to go in the first of our 2 races here today. Don't forget, we're going to be with you for the feature race as well here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Andrew Picorio in the second pack. They're going 3 wide. They're getting closer, 2 wide there out top, and for your race lead, they're now 3 wide for your race lead as they come down in towards turn 1. And Jordi Lopez Jr., after having a scary southern loop last time by, gets himself to the race lead, and Philippe Leibert going off track a little bit then, down into the southern loop.
He's got to be careful about that, does Philippe Laibert, because he now gives the gap and the overtaking opportunity as well away from Jordi Lopez Jr. as now Nasi gets a little bit blocked by Lockwood, who has the inside for this kink left at Stoner, but the right hand you can see again, Laibert blocking 3 wide. They're going to go, Nasi's going to go deepest on the brakes and just about gives the check to Brian Lockwood. He gets caught and Rocha just about gets away with it as well. It's now a battle of 3 and there's very slow lap traffic in front as well. That's Brian Duell. I don't think they'll catch that one before the end, Will. But look at this. Jordi Lopez Jr., he's now got to worry about 2 things. The dive at MG and the run to the line.
Yep. Get that photo finish camera up, shall we? As here comes Jordi Lopez Jr. leading the way from Philippe Laibert. We're on board with Philippe Laibert into Lukey Heights. Up he goes. And down they come, and Laibert probably being a bit more conservative than he will be in the feature, knowing the fact an incident here could hurt his chance of even starting inside the top 20 for race number 2. Out they come, through towards the final corner then, for the final time in the first of our races here today. And let's a look from up top, who's going to get it out the line? This finish line here, well, it's a little bit further down than what you normally think. And here comes Laibert to the line, not going to get there.
No, it was Jordi Lopez Jr. who steals it, but look at the battle for the top 20. It's all going all over the place here. You don't know who's going to get what. Slow is, I believe, Anthony Cat in the middle of all of this. He might not even make it into the top 20. Who's going to get magic number 20? Answer is Svein Tore Duors is going to get it. So the man who started, P34, the Norwegian, he's stolen it out of everyone else here. He gets pole.
Yep, and he'll be starting race number 2 on pole position here. Let's get a look at your final race results then from race number 1 here at Phillip Island. And it'll be Jordi Lopez Jr. then, who claims victory in race number 1 by 39 1,000ths of a second over Philippe Laibert. Mikko Nasi in 3rd place, Brian Lockwood in 4th place, Vinicius Rocha in 5th, Aaron De Freitas, Fahim Atanides, Jason Steeney, Andrew Bacoro, and Borja Zazo. He runs out your top 10. 11th place will be Paul Malokas, Greg Zeet, and Victor Preto, drivers 11 through 13. There's the remainder of your top 20, and yeah, the number 189 machine, Ozen Torres, will be starting on pole position for the second of our heats here this evening. And there's a look behind John Sully, has the unfortunate situation of starting where he finished in the number 19 car, and actually involved in a really close battle with Mike McCormick for 22nd. Doesn't really matter. Matt Defoe 23rd. Walker, Koshka, and Crum are behind. Well, we're going to take a break here on RaceSpotTV, and then iRacing Live will be back with more to prepare for race number 2 after these messages.
chair of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick and the line.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Okay, not quite sure what happened to the music. Take 2, roll camera, let's go. Race number 1 in the books then from the doubleheader in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Jordi Lopez Jr. wins out by 39/100ths of a second over Phillip Barber. We've got ourselves Jordi Lopez Jr. and he stood by with Jake Sperry.
Jordi, it all kicked off with 2 laps to go, and it all kicked off with the moment that everyone said, "Oh lordy, Jordi," when you were on the outside heading into turn number 2, and very simply put, it could have ended any one of 8 ways.
Okay, can someone teach Jordi how to talk for an interview, please?
Wait, it could. Oh, was that my cue? I'm sorry.
That was your cue.
I'm not really good at these. Yeah, I mean, the car drove really well. At first, I was struggling really bad with like understeer, but the car just like came back to me during the end, and like I was able to drive it to victory.
But you managed to drive it to victory. Of course, the last lap was always a very scary prospect, going 3 wide into turn number 1. Do you feel that a sprint mentality suits your driving style in the sense that you can really be aggressive and really try and, you know, give drivers next to no space and really push the initiative moving forward?
In some sort, yeah, because I'm not really that good at like taking care of my car. so the sooner the like better for me.
Sprint race champion, but you now have the unfortunate adage of starting from position number 20 for this next race. How good are you at overtaking your way through the field?
It's gonna be pretty tough because this track is just a lot of drafting, so you just have to get lucky with other people making mistakes. I'm gonna try to like capitalize that and like also try to be a bit easy as well because like I know that like the traffic in the back gets very dangerous. so like I'm gonna try to take care of the car mainly.
Well, of course you've got to take care of the car. Before we let you go, any shout outs or sponsors?
ERT, Logitech, they make it happen for me.
Well, there's a few more than that, and I know that someone else will be able to do the sponsors a little bit better than that, but Jordi Lopez Jr., very, very happy and excited, and we can forgive him, Will, for forgetting a couple of sponsors.
Yeah.
Look, they're not paying my bills, I don't care. Phillip Barber, second place here today, 39/1000ths of a second at the line, going to start P number 9 for heat number 2.
Yep, that's right. It's only the top 10 reversed. I should have. I made a mistake on the last lap, as you saw. I touched the grass and I lost some momentum. So otherwise, I might have been able to pass Jordi on the line. But now is the interesting race, the next one. So we'll see.
Before we let you go, we'll give you the quick version. Shout out sponsors.
I want to give a shout out to our league sponsor, DES Simulation, of course, and my team TT Racing. They're almost all here this race, so that's great.
Or as we like to call it here on RaceSpotTV, the Skip Barber 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. And we've got Arian the Freighter here as well. Arian, ERT wins the race. You come 6th. How was it?
Yeah, not what I expected, but let's be honest, I haven't driven the car for like 3 weeks almost. Didn't feel like racing for a long while, so but yeah, I figured let's just jump in and see how it goes. And I'm fairly happy with the result, fairly happy with the qualifying, but obviously should have been better. But yeah, I mean, it happens.
Right, name those sponsors. Go.
Okay, I'm trying Logitech, GTI, Motum, Simulations, and JRT.
Cool. There we are. Arian the Freighter coming home there in 6th place. We're going to step aside for a few minutes, get ourselves ready for race number 2. You're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live.
Chair of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick at the line.
out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Race number 2 in the Skip Barber 2K World Cup doubleheader, presented by DES Simulation here at Phillip Island. And the rules are simple. Take the top 10 from the last race, flip them upside down, and go racing again. This time for a normal amount of laps, Jake.
A normal amount. So we'll have a normal amount of action, which will still be a lot.
Yeah.
23 laps, you know, you're looking at a race that's going to be very much all about strategy, positioning, placing. I've seen many series with vehicles with similar speeds like this have 8 there to the line, 9 there to the line. It's so easy to be in a pack. It's just so difficult to stay there, especially when you have to use arguably one of the most difficult pit roads on iRacing today.
Oh yeah, indeed. Don't forget, by the way, later on tonight, it's the Indy Elite Series. Live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, round number 2 of their action, and also, Jake, RaceSpot's farewell to the DW12.
Oh no, or is it though? Because
in normal competition.
Would you not call the class? I would.
That's old car.
I'd like to see the classic IndyCar series still keep it.
No, they've got the old car. We like the old car.
Oh, the old car. Oh yeah, they can have the old car.
Yeah.
And if they want to, they may move to the old car. But, you know, you are right, Will. It is a shame to see the DW12 go. It's served its purpose. It's done very well. And I will say congratulations on your recreation in the iRacing advert.
Nah. Videography was good. The announcing was rubbish.
Oh, I know.
What was I about to say? We've also, don't forget, you can also catch this on Racing Report. We did 9 different podcasts in 9 days, and I just got a message from Dom Doohan, Jake.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, here we go. Go on.
Back to party.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this race then, shall we? 1 minute remaining in qualifying. And let's have a look. Grid. Let's show you the starting grid. We can't actually show you the starting grid for the race yet. That will be in a moment's time. So, let's talk about predictions then, Jake, because actually you've got to consider the fact that race winner from the first heat worked himself through traffic and did so very well.
He did, but it's not as easy from going so far back. The groups splinter a lot easier. If you get yourself outside of the top 10 or so, or if you're in and outside 6-7 tenths of a second, you start dropping back a little bit. You've got to be so careful that the group doesn't just break on you. You have to work your way back through, work with a drafting partner, and in fact, have some very good clean laps when you don't have the draft as well.
Yeah, so practice is almost over. Here's a look at your track conditions. 25 kilometer an hour winds, 18 degrees, so it's cool, chilly, moderately humid. Perfect for racing.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? This is Phillip Island. It's perfect time for racing, and practice is all but done.
Right then, let's have a look at your starting grid, if it works. 2, 1, hit it. Go. Nope, nothing. Oops, well, oh, yes, we've got it there. Borges, so then, pole position, Andrew Pecori is second, Jason Steeney in third, Raheem Atenides in fourth place for race number 2. Behind, you got Iron Defrater, Vinicius Rocha. This doesn't seem completely right to me, but I'll put something up on the screen for the next moment or so. Yeah, Philippe Laber 9th, this is correct. Jordi Lopez Jr. in 10th. Then Milocus in 11th, Greg Zeet in 12th. Victor Preda 13th, Fabrice Cornelius in 14th. So on and so forth. Back through the field we go. Jake, give me a winner.
I am going to go with Andrew Pecari.
Okay. We have got some pretty quick things that we need to sort out here. So let's get ourselves ready then for the race. Race number 2 here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Those lights will go on top of the gantry any second now, and hopefully I'm going to be able to start seeing some cars to work with. Now we do. There we are. Lights are out and we are racing for our main event of the evening. Cars coming down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. This, Jake, is where it could get very messy.
It could, side by side, right at the front. Zazo versus Pecari. The white cars matter to the outside. Then Fahim Antonides will also go. Lockwood gets out on the grass, but holds it together. No harm, no foul. We keep on racing, and we keep on racing. Green, we got an incident in the back as 1, 2, 3, 4, spin, 5, 6. They're all coming up together. Track starting to get a little bit temper tantrumy blocked.
Yeah, as we're going to go yellow.
Wow.
That was a big wreck, though, towards the rear part of the field, though, Jake. Let's get a replay of it.
Well, a lot of drivers on the back were thinking about how do I push myself through this pack. It's such a difficult skill to really make your way through at the back of the field. And it is so easy at this section of the track for things just to get a little bit tangled out, especially how it all washes to the middle, to the outside. And there we see the issue as well, Will. I believe it was Anthony Cat. In fact, it also was going on before that. Svein Tore Duors going off, and then they all check up after that incident. And you've seen the likes of Griffin, Dronke involved, Malcolm, Johnny Gindi, I think, managed to just about escape it all. So everybody just getting caught up in it all.
You're right. Sven was the first driver who was involved in that one. And we're going to see what we can see from him. And we're just going to rewind that one and go on board. Oh, he gets a little bit of a love tap by himself. That spins him around, but arguably, he could well have been okay. But then, I think he just got a bit of suspension damage, and from there on, pandemonium around him, Jake.
Once you see one vehicle go off, Will, it's almost like a deer in the headlights moment. You see that vehicle go off, it takes your concentration away. You're less likely to make the corner if you're put in that situation. It takes a lot of mental fortitude, I think, to really survive and get yourself around. And I think that's what a lot of drivers in the back of the pack, especially a lot of drivers who are trying to make their way through. You talk about Boulian, you talk about Diogo Francisco, Kane Halliburton, Tuan Tran, Brian Doell, those sorts of names at the back who are used to being mid to front pack, maybe not as accustomed to being at the rear of the field, having to make those positions up, and as such, you saw more of an opportunity for incident to occur.
Yeah, Barry Lorenz is coming down pit road. You got Sven on pit road, Carl Drunke on pit road, Jon Morgan on pit road, Francois Boulien on pit road already. Arendt has done himself a service, back out of the way. Now, these guys will still have to pit again, Jake, regardless of if they come on towards pit road now or not.
Yeah, that's very true. They don't have enough fuel to make it to the end. Even if you save under the safety car, you have to make sure that you are going to have to come down and serve a good stop. The good news is, though, for those drivers who came in, that's a free stop, though, Will. So they will have to fuel maybe a little bit less when it comes to their pit stop, even though they do sacrifice the track position.
Not much movement inside your top 10. Fahim up 1 position, Brian Lockwood up 1 position, James McCarthy up 1, and Bob Bartala up 1. Inside your top 15. Brian Duell, ironically, is probably one of the best drivers to have moved up for your field so far, but that is the Duell factor, as I call it, Jake, because Brian has always got a good knack of getting himself out of trouble and out of danger when big incidents happen.
Yeah, Brian Duell is one of those drivers, you know, who you could put him as a bomb defusal guy because he avoids so many landmines during a race. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, and there is Borgesazo. Well, what it's got at the moment, Jake, we might as well talk about what else is coming this week on iRacing. And, well, let's just say 2 words, shall we? Audi, Porsche.
Oh, and the wait for LMP1 will finally be over. And I know so many people who have wanted to see LMP1, who have wanted to see, you know, the high end. I mean, let me not get things wrong here, Will. I think that the HPD has had a lot of use out of its life, and it has done so well for the iRacing service. But that is LMP2. We need to get to the top. We need to get more current. And I think that LMP1, Audi and Porsche, you will not find 2 more synonymous names than endurance racing in the modern era than those 2 teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, they won't be in the 12 hours of Sebring because it's run under IMSA rules. So no LMP1 in the 12 hours of Sebring coming up this Saturday, where yours truly is going to try and do 12 hours non-stop once again because I'm a completely crazed idiot. But, of course, that means that Le Mans is going to be fantastic. Audi versus Porsche there. We've also got ourselves the IR18 new IndyCar, which is going to be released. And, of course, that sets us up perfectly, Jake, to the month of May.
Oh, the month of May, Will's favourite time of the year, Indy 500. And the first IR18 Indy 500. And this completely changes the meta because, well, we've never seen a 2-time winner in terms of IndyCar. And I will say something right now. From what I've seen in terms of posts moving forward from some of the bigger teams, I would not be surprised to see Team Redline go for a crack at it this year.
Yeah, but they'll have to come up against some of the biggest names in IndyCar sim racing history. Tim Holgate looking for his second. You got yourself Christopher Demerit looking for his second. Tim Doyle looking for his second. A couple of drivers still looking for their first as well. So there's going to be plenty of action on that one. Lights are out, by the way, on top of the pace car. Also tonight, we've got ourselves a new GRC track at Sonoma, and we've got ourselves some new dirt ovals as well, Jake.
Yeah, we do, and I think it's important to give dirt the respect it needs. I mean, it is the newer of the addition, shall we say, so it does need a bit more substance, and I think that Sonoma gives that very nicely, whilst having a very unique track layout. I think that going to Lima Land and also the dirt track at Charlotte, 2 very natural causes, but of course, pace car will be diving in. We're behind the Campos racing machine.
Yep, here we are then. A look from the rear of Borgesazo. Single file restart. Can't pass on the inside until the start-finish line. Ironically, that does mean that you can pass on the outside, which makes life very confusing because the outside becomes the inside. Green flag in the air. Here we go again at Phillip Island. Live timing and scoring will be available in just 1 moment's time. Visit RaceSpot.tv/time. We've got a battle for the race lead. Oh, we got cars off again.
Oh, no, you're kidding me, and that's going to be right in the edges of the circuit, and fortunately enough, I don't think anyone's really been involved in that one, Will. They've been lucky to keep themselves out of that one, but at the front of the field, it seems all is calm in the world of Precario. The white cars lead at the front of the field. Zazo second, Antonides in third, Steny in 4th position right now. But look at this. Zazo's going to come straight back on the outside here on the run to Honda. But Precario will have the inside here. The outside, though, for Siberia as the nose tries to get chopped off. Not enough room for that. Side by side at Siberia.
Yep, here we go then, heading up towards turn number 6 they go. Borchazzato still has the race lead as now they'll head themselves through the S's. Vinny Rocha versus Miko Nasi, that one's going on as well. They're almost too wide, too deep, too wide, 3 deep then as they head up the hill towards Lukey Heights. Battle for P number 4 and 5, 7, 8, 9 and 10 all going on. And Aaron De Freitas up into 4th already.
Aaron De Freitas making moves as Noah's Ark hits Noah's Heights, I think it is having to be said at this stage. Down on the brakes, you can see he's already going after 3rd at Fahim Antonides. The Dream is not going to give up that position, though, as Precario and Zazo still hold that advantage. They can't afford to fight too hard here, this train of 10, because it's more than just a train of 10 as Leibert gets uber wide coming out of turn number 11, because Paul Malokis is waiting, Greg Seats, Victor Prato, McCritchie there waiting as well. Already drivers have been struggling. I believe the driver that went off in the early stages or has gone very far backwards already in this event is Fabrice Cornelis, who is down 14 positions.
3 wide, turn 1. It's an ERT train with Philippe Leibert. The meet in the middle, and Leibert will lose out to 1. Leibert is going to lose out to both of them by the looks of it. As long as the RT drivers don't hold themselves up. We've got a slow car going around the outside as well. That is the driver of Vinicius Rocha down at the southern loop. He pushes wide a little bit. As behind, you've now got yourself Miko Nasi and Jason. They are going at it, and this is for P number 7 on track. So a lot of drivers moving around in the early going. Philippe Leibert hasn't been able to get himself any further. In fact, he just lost a position. And Ariane De Freitas, exactly the same for him. Borchazzato down into 3rd place. Is Antonides now up into 2nd?
And Fahim Antonides is one of the quickest drivers in the field, but he has one key issue, and that is that he struggles to finish races. Antonides is... I don't know how to call him, Will, as a driver. You know, he is a bin or win driver, is Antonides. He struggles to finish, and when he does finish, he finishes incredibly well. So he's always a character you need to look out for. De Freitas under pressure from Lockwood, Nasi there, Stenny, and Rocha all there in the mix. But this train was starting to splinter a little bit with Paul Malokis, who, as we know, Will, is one of the best fuel savers in the game. He will be trying to go as long as possible, so he won't be too fussed by the fact that there's a 7/10 gap.
No, and also, well, he will be a little bit, because, of course, he would have been able to save quite a bit under the safety car. But the number 4 machine now just needs to make sure...
Oh, they bet off.
Yeah, that's down at the final corner.
That's a mad place to lose it. You don't often lose it there. He got caught, or he lost it there trying to hook it up. It just seemed that the back decided to step out on him, and very quickly, Will, he's down to the back of the train behind Victor Prato, so now P13.
He caught a white line on the exit of the final corner. That's why. That could have almost been game over for Philippe Leibert. Good save, though. Down in plane number 13. He's got a lot of workload to go. But we know that Philippe, when he nails pit stops, can be okay. And also, he's one of these drivers now very happy that there's a multi-car pack out front.
He will be, but he won't be happy at Brenton O'Brien for painting that line an extra layer of coat. I will have to say that one now, as the field now stacks 2 wide behind Andrew Precario. Look at this. They're almost in grid formation as they head to Siberia. Lockwood to the outside then. Aboard Zazo. Zazo tags Antonides. They hold it together somehow, and Antonides now needs to find a lane. They all need to find a lane. Antonides, he collects Jordi Lopez, but he somehow keeps it going.
Well, and now Fahim's completely out. He's just leapfrogged, shall we say, off the racetrack. We were on board with him. Here's the first hit. And the curse of Fahim continues. We'll talk about on Friday night. Sometimes the curse of Fraser Williamson, the curse of Fahim. Struggling to finish races. That one's now continuing, Jake. He was in a good position. And actually, that was none of his doing at all, really.
No, it wasn't, and that's crucial because Borja Zazo was trying to get very aggressive at Siberia, trying to follow in the lines, and I wonder how much damage now Borja Zazo is going to have on his machine. There's a lot of bent up front right on that wing. It's not going to affect him too much, Will, but it will affect him enough as he is swamped already by 2 vehicles going past. One Vinny Rocha, one Jason Stenny, as they look to try and go 3 wide on Miko Nasi as well. They've given the gap 1.1 to Andrew Picario. There's still a faint hint of draft.
Yeah, and it is only a faint hint then from Miko Nasi. He's going to have a lot of work to do, and the good thing about this track is it is a draft trap. You can gain a lot of time back up. On board now with Vinicius Rocha. As he looks down to the outside at Stoner Corner, that's going to be the inside into Honda. And Vinicius Rocha just going to be later on the brakes, is he? No, but he should get the run here. And the issue is, Jake, is that the outside-inside stuff only works when it's 2 drivers battling. When you've got a huge pack like this, it doesn't work as well.
No, it doesn't, because you start tripping up on each other. And you can see on the outside of Siberia, Vinny Rocha couldn't get things happening, but he'll try and get the run coming off the exit. Zazo, you can see, has to defend. He won't be able to use the draft to Stenny in position number 3. So Stenny now trying to attack Miko Nasi. And the fact that they're all trying to attack each other, Will, means that they don't have their priorities straight. They need to work together to reel back in Picario at this stage. Picario, all he needs to do is run some nice, clean, consistent laps, and he will be trying to break away. That gap will extend from 1.1 seconds. That gap, though, from drivers further back, you could almost say now Carl Dronke's on the back of this train a lap down, but it goes all the way back to Anthony Cat now in position 15.
Yeah, and Victor Prieto currently running in 11. I was about to start talking about Jordi Lopez Jr. because he's still only in P number 10 where he started. Philippe Lebert now behind Victor Prieto. Expect to see some movement there. And so coming towards 1, he's not quite going to be close enough to do anything in draft lock formation. Andrew Picario, though, 1.4 now ahead of Jason Stenny. And this is about the time that Picario can start putting away a little bit.
And Andrew Picario, let's not forget, Will, that my success rate of picking winners is pretty good in this series. So that much I've got rooting for him at this stage. So Stenny's got to work on this. Miko Nasi now will use the draft to get back at him here in this next section. If Stenny was clever, he'd just let him have that position, and he does. He falls back into line, blocks Borja Zazo. Zazo checks up, and Rocha takes the tap. He's going to go straight back across the circuit. How has everybody missed him? I have no idea, Will.
That was close. That was very close. And you know what? I saw that in an IndyCar race once around here, and about 2/3 of the field got wiped out. Here's a look on the replay then on board of Borja Zazo. It was a lane change that started there for Borja. And you just noticed the fact that he had 2 wheels off when he did the right thing, pull that car off the racetrack, but that could have been pandemonium for the drivers. And ironically, this lap, Miko Nasi's gained a bit of time now over Andrew Picario. As will come down through Lukey Heights into MG Corner one more time. And wow, we've got a race going on here. Lap number 8 of 23 going to be score complete this time by. Here are a look at your top 8 then. Picario leads from Miko Nasi by 1.2 seconds. Jason Stenny in 3rd. Vinicius Rocha in 4th. Brian Lockwood in 5th. Iron Freighter, Jordi Lopez Jr. and Paul Malocus round out your top 8 as here comes Stenny then down to the inside of Miko Nasi and gets a job done. Worth noting that Lopez Jr. has gained up 3 places in the last lap and a half or so. He's heard the message, Jake.
Get going and get going quick, and he has known to start getting on that pedal as drivers are starting to get a little bit more aggressive. I will say, though, you were talking about the Brian Dwell effect. He's plus 22.
Nice. Nice. Barber, by the way, still down on 11th place, so I think there's something in that car that we can't see, Jake, because if Lopez Jr. can gain up 4 places in a lap and a half, Barber should be able to do similar.
There's a small bit of damage on the front right of that wing that may just be hampering him. It's bent up slightly. That will be enough to slow him down by maybe a mile an hour or 2 on the straights, and that is so crucial when you can't get around to make those moves. And you look at someone like, say, Jordi Lopez Jr. with a clean car. He's got Iron Defrater in front he can use, as it's side-by-side Stenny and Rocha just in front, and you have to wonder how much damage Rocha has. Rocha's lucked out. He's got a clean car.
Yeah, and there's the number 91 to go on board of him then up the hill. Lukey Heights, and down he comes again. in P number 5. Not able to work anything on the outside line. Pit window then, Jake. Normally would say it's open around now because of 2.5 laps worth of yellow. Let's put that back to a pit window anywhere between about lap number 12 and lap number 16.
Yeah, you're about right there, Will. I think we're going to see a late pit stop window. Drivers able to go longer than they thought they could. And you're also seeing here the draft almost being broken now between Stenny and Lockwood. The gap between them comes upward, actually, from now almost a second between the pair. So now Brian Lockwood's on the train with Nasi and Precario. Precario has been officially caught by some great work from Nasi and Lockwood. Now this second train's got to get together, and look who got the memo. The 2 ERT drivers going at it as again lay bare off at turn number 1.
Yeah, and also, it was Jason Stenny, Paul Malocas free winding towards turn number 1. Malocas' day was almost over, can I say?
Yeah, you certainly can say that. Paul Malocas is a very lucky lad to still be alive at that section. When you go 3 wide, you have to make sure that you make it stick. And Paul Malocas, who's at the back of this 5-car train, well, he's just about got away with it as they now fan in. Oh, off goes Precario. Is that Precario? Yes, it is. And that's going to be him. Pretty much day done. I think my 100% guessing record is all but in the trash now, Will.
From the race lead, the 168 car. Well, this was the second incident because how can you lose a second? We've got to rewind that tape a little bit. Precario was caught big time by number 149 machine Amico Nasi, so there must have been another incident somewhere along the line that we didn't see, Jake, and then all of a sudden, well, that driver of Andrew Precario, there's the tag again with him and Amico Nasi, and Precario is out.
Well, he's trying desperately to get back. He has a fast repair, Will. Even if he's out of the event for the race win, he will still try and score as many points as he can. This puts a lot into perspective now. Miko Nasi, a man under pressure, and off he goes.
Is that Labour? No, there's a car that just went off.
That is, Will, Philippe Laibert again.
Oh, my word. Labour is putting us all on tenterhooks here today. Replay on board of him. That's what, the 3rd time he's done that now, Jake?
Yeah, and just in front of him as well, we just seen Paul Malocas go off, so everybody's struggling, and now I have to put a magic word in, beginning with the letter I, Will. It's not iRacing, it's incident.
Yeah, and that is Labour. I mean, he only just missed the tyre wall there. You go off. I mean, in some cars, you're doing about 200 miles an hour for that corner, and, well, Philippe Labour, you're only going about 120, 125 through there. But Labour has dodged a bullet twice already today, and you're right. Incident, and we talked about this last race, of course. It got controversial at the end with some drivers and incidents. I think, though, that the track conditions, the crosswinds, going north to south, are just hurting these drivers a little bit.
Yeah, suddenly wind, Will, is only going to unsettle the vehicle in certain corners. It's one of the least practiced things on iRacing from anybody. Everybody says, oh, the wind doesn't do anything, the wind doesn't do anything. It does, and it does affect the way that you race a track and you attack a track. So you have to make sure that you're keeping an eye on what the wind is doing and understanding where the vehicle's going to be unsettled, as Miko Nasi still has the lead. But look at the front of his machine, Will. He has damage on the front of that machine. That front right that we've been seeing so often with the front wings is pretty much bent up, bruised and knackered, and Paul Malocas, surprisingly, is the early man taking the stop.
Well, everyone's in. Miko Nasi's in. We've got ourselves about 4 or 5 drivers, 6, 7, 8 drivers, all coming on towards pit road at the same time. Well, this is at the very early end of our predictions here, Jake, and it's a little bit surprising because now Vinicius Rocha leads the race, and you don't ever want to be in a situation where Vinny leads a race coming into a pit stop territory.
No, because Vinny Rocha then breaks away and decides to underfuel the vehicle and run out on the final lap. That's what we normally get to see from Vinny Rocha. I think this is a worry here as Stenny stays out, Prato stays out, these drivers in the middle, and let's not forget someone like James McCritchie, mind you, someone who really has come out of the woodworks from the UKNI Monday Night Skippies, and it's really looking to showcase what he can do here. From his UKNI Monday Night Skippy run last week, if I can get, or this week, if I can get that up in a moment. I'll get to that one later, Will, but I will say that James McCritchie is one of those drivers who you do need to have an eye out on for the future.
He will be a big thing in 2018. You're not the first person to say that. You sure as won't be the last. As, of course, you can catch him tomorrow night also on Monday Night Skippies in support of the Calm Zone. So check that one out at 9 p.m. GMT tomorrow night here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, as we go on board then with Jason Stenny as well. Question time is now, will Vinny go long? Will Stenny go long? We're looking on board with Stenny as they work themselves through turn number 11. Stenny comes in. Vinny comes in.
Critchy comes in and outstays Batalla, outstays Sites, and outstays Prato, so they decide to keep on out on it for another lap. Now, it's not a case that tyres are going to be the factor, Will, on this one. The fast repair will give you slightly fresher tyres if you choose to use it, but I think that what you're going to be seeing here is the fuel run, and the fuel run will be very crucial as Stenny hits his box, Rocha hits his box. Now the question is, where is Miko Nasi in all of this situation? Because Miko Nasi is going to be the man that everybody looks at. He rounds the final corner with his train of two, Lockwood, and guess who? Jordi Lopez Jr.
Yep, here we are. Vinny is going to come out. He's going to do a traditional thing of underfueling his car a little bit too wide in towards turn number 1, into traffic almost. But it's going to be Vinny coming out in 4th place for the time being, re-merging safely into a gap. But whilst all that's been going on, well, Miko Nasi is still there in the pack, but ahead of him, Brian Lockwood and Jordi Lopez Jr. right now. So it's all changed for the time being, but Greg Zeitz, Victor Prato, Bob Batalla, Brian Dewell, Kane Halliburton, and Turan are yet to pit. We expect them this time by, but your effective race leader right now is Jordi Lopez Jr., P10 to P1.
Wow, he is on the move, and I think he likes it. So he's now going to have to try and stay there, which is more difficult than it sounds. I do expect these next 3 at the front of the field to dive down either this lap or next lap. Someone like Prato will be needing to make the stop. Someone like Batalla needs to start thinking about it. One thinks, all thinks, and guess what, Will? It seems that I know my stuff, and that's sometimes very difficult to say. All of them dive in.
Yep, so 1, 2, 3 coming in. Brian Dewell coming in. Halliburton in. Turan coming in now. So that will put the effective race lead back as an overall race lead with Jordi Lopez Jr. in a moment's time. RaceSpotTV fan immersion. We ride on board with him. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was an interesting RaceSpotTV fan immersion. We looked there at Jordi Lopez Jr. go from first to third to second to third. We're now looking at Vinicius Rocha because last time by Vinny half a second faster than this leading trio, Jake. And let's get ready to make it a 4-car train once again.
And not just that, Arian De Freitas was quicker than the train as well. So this second group, which contains Malokas, Stenny and Greg Seat, and you could argue Victor Prato is clinging on to that one as well. They are all closing in on the leaders. This pack is only going to shrink up then in the final stages. And let's not forget, lap 16 to 23 leaves only 8 laps to go in the event, and we're just exactly where we started in terms of our sprint race.
Yeah, there is Brian Lockwood on board of him as he works himself through turn number 11 into turn number 12. Top 8 then in this event so far after pit stops, and well, noticeable names out of that one. Now you've got McCritchie out of the top 8 all of a sudden. You've got Leiber still outside the top 8. Bortazzo down 13th place. Sometimes looking at the top 8 tells you more as they go 3 wide then in towards turn number 1 for a moment. You're already back to P number 1, but sometimes, Jake, you learn more about a stats bar like that by looking at who's not in it.
Exactly, and you will see that more often than not, the drives you had to take a fast repair are typically slower than those who didn't. So someone like Leiber has had to have dropped off because he hasn't had to do as much as people have thought he has. Now you got to consider, can I work my way up there? The answer right now has to be no. If you're in that second pack, Malokas and De Freitas have the stranglehold, but guess who they're trying to help right now? Jordi Lopez Jr. They don't want to give any help right now by Stenny, by Seitz, by Prato. By getting themselves in that front pack, they want it to be Rocha on his own fighting for it, and they want it just to be Jordi Lopez Jr. right now, just trying to get away.
Yeah, and last time by Vinny again, about 3 tenths of a second faster than this leading trio. However, Rocha is gaining time over that second pack. Last time by, he gained 8 tenths of a second. Like, Vinny was very wide there through Lukey Heights, surprisingly wide by him.
Yeah, he's pushing so hard here, and you know, I thought a couple of laps ago that he was going to merge back into the Malokas De Freitas group. It seems that his secret technique of running away is working very, very well, Will. He is there now with the group within that 1 second window, and I think he now needs to start thinking, okay, if I've gone short on this fuel, I need to now get to them. Look at this, though. Let's go 3 wide once again. It's Mikko Nasi's turn to thread the needle.
Yeah, here he is, in towards 1. Nicely done. Bit of a wiggle there by Nasi, but nothing huge. Through turn number 1, Vinicius Rocha. Let's put the lap time comparison up here, Jake. Because, actually, if I hit that button, it will actually work. Gained 4 tenths per second and 14. 10.5 and 15. And he's in touching distance on lap 16.
Perfect. All that was needed to be done there in that situation. They know what is needed. Bit of traffic there, and Mike McCormick was pretty much negotiated lovely as they're going to go almost side by side there. Lockwood, who's been perennially second in this pack for the last few laps. Every time he makes a move, the driver behind gets better toe, makes the move better for him. So that's what we're starting to see here, Will. Drivers who are trying to be aggressive, trying to attack, trying to make something happen, and that second pack as well is now starting to get a little bit antsy there, as we saw Jason Stenny take a different line with almost collecting Malokas in that situation. If you're someone like Victor Prato, you can't afford to let these drivers at the front do the work. You've got to start doing that work, pushing the envelope out there to try and chase back. 3 seconds will not come back if you're going to sit on your laurels.
Well, and the thing is, the last 2 laps, this second pack is lost. Get this, 7 tenths of a second to Vinicius Rocha. That's unacceptable considering some of the drivers involved in this. De Freitas, Malokas, Zeet, Prato. I mean, they're actually allowing Phillip Leiber to catch back up into this pack right now.
And that's not ideal either, because they want to make sure that Phillip Leiber gets as little points as possible. We know how adaptive he can be, and when the chips are down, Phillip Leiber normally produces the result of the season, so he knows what he needs to do. 3 wide again, Jordi Lopez Jr. again past Brian Lockwood as he gets himself to the front of the field. And behind that, we saw also Paul Malokas just about losing the position there to De Freitas as they start to drop another 1/10 of a second then in terms of the overall group here. The gap now up to 3 seconds between first and fifth, sorry. And that's going to mean that the longer this goes on, the less chance they have of closing this down, unless shenanigans start happening. And we're starting to see it here. Too wide they will go into Honda.
Yeah. Hi, Vinicius Rocha. Welcome back to the front pack. As Miko Nasi loses one, is almost going to lose two into Siberia. Now has to pay attention to Vinicius Rocha, who's in 4th place as well. Vinny, look down to the inside of Brian Lockwood into Siberia, and that one remains as it is for the time being. Behind, Leiber still catching Victor Preto. Gap remains at 2.7 then between your lead pack, and the part of that is because now Vinny's caught that lead pack, Jake, he can't really gain any more time.
No, he can't. He's stuck unless he starts making moves, and he needs to use that draft better than anybody else can if he wants to move forward, if he wants to start gaining some position. So he knows exactly what's needed. More traffic in front. That's Chris Malcolm that they will have to be dealing with in the number 8 machine. So Malcolm will be the next target, and Jordi Lopez Jr. all of a sudden has got himself a 4-5-10th gap here to Miko Nasi. Yes, it will be close, but look at how this is going to affect this backpack. Too wide they're going to go. Rocha now is going to go to the hard inside, and look at this, the draft being helped here. You can see he actually checks up a bit here, does Jordi Lopez Jr. He doesn't want this lead now as they go 3 wide into turn number 1, and Brian Lockwood all of a sudden has the lead with 5 laps to go.
Oh, this is going to be a fun end to this murder race. It's either going to be one of the most exciting finishes we've had in a while, or it's all going to end in tears. Lap gap, 3.2 seconds between your leading foursome and then the pack behind from P number 5 onwards. Retirees out of this race, by the way, we've got ourselves a few. Matt DeFoe, Francois Bulliam, Johnny Gindi, Barry Arenciga, Francisco, Enzo Cantor, Ronan Griffith, all out of this event as it stands. I'm starting to worry, though, about this second pack. They've almost run out of time. In fact, they have run out of time, Jake.
Yeah, I think that Arjen de Freitas sees the men in front of him, and I don't think that he can really find himself in a position to attack and really make that progress forward. And I think that he knows now it's about consolidation more rather than going out there for the race victory. He's too far back, the drivers are too quick, and they're working too well together to bridge this gap away. And I think that's the understanding that's needed. I do not want to be the person first or second in this train heading on to the final lap.
Jacob Stevens, put your computer down and do your research project. Meanwhile, I'm Electra talking here. Jordi Lopez Jr. at the rear of the train. Vinicius Rocha at the rear of the train. At what point do you think these guys are going to stop working the draft and start getting aggressive? Because they do this, I mean, it's about counting back almost. Who's going to be in the right place at the right time? Coming in towards 1, they go again. 1, 2, 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Are they going to be aggressive on the final lap? And I don't think turn number 1 is going to be the point. It's probably more going to be Honda corner. Lukey Heights, we're going to see it be aggressive.
Well, let's just remember what happened in the sprint race. Brian Lockwood was in a position to win the race, and Miko Nasi gave him a lovely little hip check through the right-hander of Honda, and you can see how close Rocha was in that situation to attacking for that position. I think what we're going to see here, Will, is a lot of aggression early, but I don't think we're going to see the banzai moves just yet. As you saw there, Jordi Lopez Jr. knew to back out of that move into Honda because he knows that he needs to save that sort of move for another day. This is where you start looking at the 75% moves. With 2 laps to go, you start the 50% moves. With a lap to go, you start going for the goodness me, what are you doing moves.
Yeah. Up the hill they come again. Miko Nasi leading the way. Lockwood in 3rd right now. Rocha in 4th. And, well, the gap continues to extend, by the way, between the leading pack and the second pack. It's almost going to be inconsequential. And I think now they're going to start thinking, okay, guys, it's too late. We're going to start scrapping with ourselves.
Yeah, I think they now have to understand that they have worked together to bring De Freitas out of this battle, Malokas out of this battle, Leiber and Batalla out of this battle. So they know if they start scrapping now, they are not going to come back into this one with 3 laps to go. Lockwood slow coming out of turn number 12. That's going to allow the opportunity then. Noah's Ark, the animals will come too wide, too deep down the Gardiner Straight as they make the run then to turn number 1. And look at the run that Brian Lockwood's going to get. He suddenly threads the needle very late on here in this run and nicks it to the inside. That is the biggest sleeper agent I have ever seen.
Yeah, but you don't do that with 3 to go. You're showing your hand too early, Jake. You now have basically got a target in your back. It's like, okay, get that lead into turn number 1. That's fine.
The only way you do that, Will, is if you can guarantee an escape by doing that. He can't. Look at Jordi Lopez Jr. come straight back at him then when they get to Honda. Nasty on the defense then from Vinicius Rocha, who's been so happy to sit in 4th all race long. He'll be now positioning himself to make the move. 2 to go when they next cross the line. And Jordi Lopez Jr., he's in the right place now. He wants to be leading with 2 to go because he loses that position. Lap to go. He's then on the attack.
Could Jordi Lopez Jr. make it back-to-back wins? And I'm going to have to scratch my head for a moment here, Jake. Remember the last time anyone won the sprint and the featured race in the 2K
Never.
World Cup? I was going to say, I think the answer was never. Jordi Lopez Jr. could be making himself a little bit of 2K history tonight.
He could. The closest anyone's got to that is Arjen de Freitas. He was first in the sprint and second in the feature. That's what we're looking at here. This is where we're starting to see Jordi Lopez Jr. have to play that game. Brian Lockwood is the unknown factor in this situation. He's never normally up in these sorts of battles. We've seen him taken out by Miko Nasi, a former champion. Vinicius Rocha, arguably the greatest driver in the 2K World Cup, never to get a title just yet. So now you're seeing the weaving happening. Now you're seeing everybody's battling. 2 laps to go, the run to 1, and look at this, Miko Nasi, big power move, down to the inside, Lockwood on the outside. This is deja vu all over again. He seems that he can't get himself positioned. They're side by side, they stay. Lockwood's got the inside for the southern loop.
Yeah, and that's fine for Lockwood right now. The battle that I think is going to be the big one is for 3rd place, because now it's all about setting your car up. And Lopez Jr., in my opinion, is one place ahead of where he wants to be right now. Miko Nasi, if he goes down to the inside into the Honda corner, then I actually think that maybe Lopez Jr. might give him the position, or Lopez Jr. might get tagged and take the race lead because Lockwood messes up a little bit there down into Honda.
And Lockwood there going wide, I think was quite deliberate there, Will. He knew that he needed to be on that outside. He knew he didn't want to be on the lead heading to the final lap. And they put Jordi Lopez Jr. in a position where he does not want to be right now. At the front, Rocha still waiting. And the train has now officially caught behind the likes of De Freitas, Malokas, et al. Because now Leibert's there, now Batala's there. Now they can have their own little ding-dong. That doesn't matter, though. Look how narrow of a line Vinicius Rocha takes. Look how wide a line the driver of Jordi Lopez Jr. takes. White flag this time coming.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the gloves are now officially off. This is going to be a fantastic final lap here at Phillip Island. 4 drivers going for the race victory. Jordi Lopez Jr. is looking to do something no one has done in the 2K World Cup, and that is winning both the sprint and the feature. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide, in towards 1 they come. Who is going to be the brave one? And who's going to be the stupid one? Lopez Jr. settles to the rear of the train for the time being. Brian Lockwood has it through turn number 1 in towards the southern loop. Lopez Jr. on the outside. Miko Nasi pushing wide, blocking off that lane. And now it's side by side for P for number 3. And Lockwood has himself a bit of an advantage as they work themselves through Stoner Corner towards Honda Corner. Who's going to get a good opportunity now for Nasi to try and go out braking in towards Honda, but here comes Lopez Jr. down the inside. No, nothing yet, or can he? What a run as Miko Nasi goes wide. Contact there between the driver of Lopez Jr. and Lockwood. Lopez Jr. has the run as they come through Siberia and up the mountain they come again. Miko Nasi's falling off. He's not going to get himself a podium here today. It looks as though, unless these drivers crash, there is going to be a 1-2-3 of Lopez Jr. Brian Lockwood and Vinicius Rocha. But in what order is that going to be? Because here comes Lockwood down to the inside into Lukey Heights. And the answer is going to be round the outside will go the driver of Lopez Jr. Lockwood has the outside line into the next corner. Vinicius Rocha messes up. It's almost a two-horse race now between Lopez Jr. and Brian Lockwood. They're just falling off one at a time. Who's going to get the momentum on the exit of turn number 12? Lockwood will have the advantage for the moment, but now what can Lopez Jr. do? It's going to be block Draft Fest City as they come towards the line. Lockwood looks as though he might well have it as they come to the line, but no. Lopez Jr. makes a little bit of 2K World Cup history. Lopez Jr., the first driver ever to win both the sprint and the feature, and he did it with some absolute class there. Here's a replay out of the final corner. Whew. I think Lopez Jr.'s biggest bit of help there, Jake, was that Nasi made a mistake, then Rocha made a mistake.
Well, Rocha was pushing too hard. He went wide through Lukey Heights, and we said it with a few laps to go, that Vinicius Rocha was pushing too hard, and he was going too wide through Lukey Heights. He was trying to do everything to stay with that group. He pushed out the boat too far, and as such, he got capsized. Nico Nasi, you have to say after what happened in the opening race, that is karma for what happened to Brian Lockwood. And I have to say, it is such a shame for Brian Lockwood. He drove a fantastic race all race long, all day long. He certainly could say, and he comes out with just a second place. But Jordi Lopez Jr., he makes history, and Jordi Lopez Jr., we've seen him on Wednesdays look very strong. How about in Sundays? Jordi Lopez Jr. looks like a freak.
Yeah, welcome to Sunday nights. And actually, there's Nico Nasi. Talk about karma. Nico Nasi trying to take the outside line into Honda corner. I think he got a bit of suspension damage there because he just actually run over the left rear tyre of Brian Lockwood through Stoner Curve.
Well, he has to be so careful about that. I'll get a second look at it because I didn't quite see that happen. And through turn number 3, yeah, he does have to be careful about that. And just looking at that, Will, he was trying to get greedy, trying to get aggressive. I think he just managed to avoid that sort of contact. Maybe there was a bit of front wing that's come into play that he was negotiating with. But ultimately, he did slightly outbrake himself on that outside track. It's almost like watching Indy Turn 4, the fact that he washed out to dry on that outside line without any rubber.
Yeah, and then, of course, you see the driver of Vinicius Rocha. He falls out of the picture. And then the drag race to the start-finish line between the drivers of Brian Lockwood Jr. and Jordi Lopez Jr. You've got to give a little bit of credit as well to Brian Lockwood. He could have very easily played the block on the final corner and forced Lopez Jr. To really have to dance down to the inside. He didn't. No blocking there. Sometimes, though, class doesn't win your motor race.
Well, it's the phrase, nice guys finish last, and Brian Lockwood is a very nice guy, but he just didn't have that same determination that maybe Michael Schumacher had, that ruthlessness that you've seen Sebastian Vettel have, that you've seen Lewis Hamilton have in the past, that has been gritty and determined to go win races. I think that's what Brian Lockwood lacked here today. You can be a nice guy, but he left the door open there for Jordi Lopez Jr. on the outside. If I was him, I would have gone instantly defensive, force him to go the long way round, take the longest line possible to get to the start-finish line, which would have meant blocking.
Here's your final race results then from Phillip Island feature race. And Jordi Lopez Jr. Well, his margin of victory is just a tiny bit higher over Brian Lockwood compared to the previous race. 42 1,000ths of a second at the line. Vinicius Rocha third. Nico Nasi fourth. Paul Malocas in fifth. Paul Malocas was actually trying to catch up to the rear of Nico Nasi after he had his moment, but that second train just wasn't quite close enough to do so. Jason Steeney, 6th place. Greg Zeet in 7th. Under 310, 8th. Philippe Leber manages to work his way back up into 9th. Victor Prato rounds out your top 10. Bob Batara in 11th. Borges in 12th after incident. Anthony Catt, Brian Dewell, and James McCrithry then rounds out your top 15. Remainder of the results coming up on your screen right now. Well, Jake, we said this was going to be a great setting for the motor race, and Phillip Island always is, of course. It's also home to around the RS World Championship Grand Prix Series. Now, you don't get as much action there compared to these because, you know, the cars are faster, a little bit wider, but this track over and over again in almost any form of motorsport shows why it is a fan favourite.
It does, because Phillip Island is cruelly underused as a circuit for the international series, and I wish it was used more. I get that, you know, the safety of, say, what it has is not the most amazing. It's not an FIA Grade 1 circuit by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that what it offers as a pure top speed fest, which challenges on more ways than you can imagine a circuit which is basically filled of how many times can I get my compass out and draw a nice little circle. I think that, you know, Phillip Island does hold a very strong place with a lot of teams, a lot of drivers, and actually it should be used a lot more. Heck, there's even a reason why I think that it should have been back in terms of the RAC World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Yeah, indeed. Don't worry, by the way. Not only am I up here, I'm a proud snowflake as well. We're going to take a break. Back with post-race interviews after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live. Post-race coverage of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup doubleheader from Phillip Island, and it's a first. Jordi Lopez Jr. winning out in both the sprint and the feature race by 42 1,000ths of a second over Brian Lockwood in the feature race. Vinny Rocha third, Miko Nassi fourth, Paul Malukas P number 5, Jordi Lopez Jr. Well, congratulations on the race win. However, have you learnt your sponsor names yet?
Yes, I have.
Good. Okay, now we can talk about the race. Started P number 10, Seemed to be for a while, you just allow the battles to develop around you, and then about lap number 8, lap number 9, it was like, okay, go time.
Oh yeah. At first, like I was just trying to feel out the car, and then I got into like a battle with Phillip for like a little bit, but I was able to avoid all the main trouble. I nearly got taken out one lap by our like wrecked car in front of me, but I got lucky and still managed to save it, and somehow won the race.
Well, let's think about the fact that you have done something no driver has ever done in the history of 2K World Cup, winning both the sprint and the feature. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really, really good. Like, I really enjoy driving this car, and it feels good to be able to do something with it, you know?
Well, Evolution Racing Team, they've had an interesting last 18 months, 2 years, but they scored well here today in the 2K World Cup overall. And of course, in 2 weeks' time, we're doing it all again. Are we going to see you make this a long-term thing?
Yes, for sure. I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
Well, Jordi Lopez Jr., I'm ready. Are you ready? Sponsors and shout-outs. Who gets it done?
Evolution Racing Team, JRT, and like Logitech Gaming.
Okay, no worries. Jordi Lopez Jr. then coming home with the victory. P number 2, Brian Lockwood stood by with Jake Sperry.
I will say that he did forget Motum simulations. He's still.
Look, I'm trying to be nice here, right?
No, I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to be controversial. Brian, should you have blocked there on that final lap?
Could I have? Probably, but the way the race went, I can't complain with the result. Really, really happy with how both races went, actually.
Well, let's go back to that first race, actually, because it does hold certain parallels in terms of the racing, because on the last lap of the sprint race, you get the hip check from Mikko Nasi, you get bumped out of position. Did you have a little smile on your face when Mikko Nasi went off at turn number 4, exactly the same place in the feature race?
Well, that was definitely a little bit of karmic justice. But I was mostly focused on chasing down Jordi and hopefully getting that win. You know, I got the chance, but couldn't do it.
Didn't quite get there, but, you know, it's been a slow start to your campaign. You're finally picking up some momentum here at Phillip Island. What's next for you then? Are you going to be able to continue this sort of run of pace? Where do you see yourself being then in terms of the next rounds of the championship, which will be at a track that nobody knows?
Well, I certainly hope so. I've been putting a little bit more time into preparing for the 2K races, and I think it's showing, it's paying off. So I think I'll be able to carry this momentum in races, hopefully going for a good championship finish.
Well, looking for that good championship finish. Any shout-outs or any sponsors that you want to give out, that if you have any, that is?
Yeah, shout out to Racecraft Engineering, a group of guys I've been racing with. Devin Singh was actually in this race. Yeah.
Yeah, Racecraft Engineering. There we go there, Will. Racecraft Engineering. Get that out there.
Yep. And then going back a little bit, Philippe Leber, who I do agree needs to have some words with Brenton O'Brien about those white lines in the exit of the final corner. Because Philippe, I think you were playing a game of chicken with that tyre barrier at one point.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I didn't expect to come out of that alive. It was a hairy moment. And then the exact same thing happened again 2 laps later, I think, when I got hit from behind at the exit of the final corner. So I had to do a double take. But yeah, it's not what I expected, of course. Once I made that mistake in the final corner on lap 5, I think it was practically over for me, because it's so hard if you're in a pack. It's easy to pass when you're with 2 or 3 cars, but when there's a pack of 5 or 6, it's almost impossible to pass if you're at the rear of the pack. So I just had to sit and wait, and I could catch up with the second group at one point, but it was too late. So yeah, we'll see. Next week or next race will be more interesting when we have a random track.
Yeah, random track. What are the criteria for randomness?
You mean the way we determine what track it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's kind of complicated, but it's a system that guarantees a truly random track. So we have a list of 20 tracks, and we take the iRating of the first and second place of the last official race before the 2K race. We add them together, and then we add the strength of field, and then we divide it by 20, and the remainder of the division is the number of the track we're going to take. That's in a nutshell.
Have you got that, Jake?
Just about. But I've seen some very convoluted systems in my times, and my iRankings is a very convoluted system. Nothing holds up to that.
Well, at least we know it truly is going to be random. But before we let you go, Philippe, of course, exiting this race, it's double header here at Phillip Island. Who do you want to give a shout out to? Sponsors, teammates, friends, Goldfish?
Of course, again to our league sponsor, DES Simulation, and our team TT Racing, to Vinny, who did an excellent job finishing on the podium this race. He should have won, but yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you very much to Philippe Labert. Jake, final thoughts.
Fantastic 2 races. We've seen some of the best Skip Barber action that you will ever find anywhere in sim racing. I think it's better than the real racing as well, just how decisive and close that we always get to see this. And I think that in terms of what we've seen, a little bit of history always does help.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations to Jordi Lopez Jr. for that one. Of course, plenty more racing coming up here on RaceSpotTV over the next couple of days. Round number 2 of the Indy Elite Series, the final race that series. One of the final races we'll probably show with the Dallara DW12 for quite some time. That'll be tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So get your tissues out and have a little bit of a cry and say goodbye to the Dallara DW12 on a track which is going to be interesting for those cars. New Hampshire Motor Speedway always makes turn passing difficult, but tyre wear is always a big factor. Then tomorrow night, it's Monday Night Skippies in support of the Calm Zone. You can check that one out at 9 p.m. GMT tomorrow night. And then, of course, this coming Saturday as well, we have got ourselves the 12 Hours of Sebring. So join us for that one. It won't have the LMP1 cars. We'll say it now. It's run under IMSA rules. You don't get WEC rules at Sebring until 2019. But it still will be a fantastic race. We've seen already how Bathurst helped some of the Blancpain teams in terms of getting their head straight for the GT World Championship. And I think you'll see exactly the same thing this coming Saturday in terms of that one. And well, finally, Jake, we are only 13 days away from the return of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series.
We are, and the question becomes on everybody's lips, can Martin Kroenke break the record that has stood for over 5 years, 6 years, probably even 8 years at this stage, of consecutive victories of 13? He goes for lucky 14 at Interlagos.
Yep, so you can catch that one, of course. RaceSpotTV, the home of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That is all we got time for a slightly longer, slightly extended 2K World Cup broadcast here tonight on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Before we go, of course, we have got to say thank you to the following people. Isman Balao, TrackCam22.com for the TV cameras, Andreas Werner, Valtteri Bottas, Helmet Man, Andreas Warner and Antoine Design for overlay design, Simon Grossman, Appgeneer.in for overlay animation, right timing and scoring, our buddy Nick Thisson as well. Thank you so much for being a part of our coverage tonight. This coverage, of course, being brought to you as well by DES Simulation, the title sponsor of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. That guy, Jake Sperry, me, Will Vincent, but I'll see ya in exactly 70 minutes. Good night from Phillip Island.